Good evening. Good evening. How's everybody? Wait a few minutes here and let people come on in if they want to. If they don't, we'll continue on. I wouldn't doubt that it'll take a little bit, maybe for people to come in because I changed the time so much that people probably wait for about 5 minutes or so when they see it's actually going live. They're like, oh, okay, he's actually live. How's everybody doing? All well up there, wherever you might be. Hope you guys are taking care. Wonder how the weather's been in your area. It's been really nice. My neck of the woods here this last week. Been really good. Quite busy. Quite busy with work. And then trying to get gardens ready. Trying to get all that stuff ready. I've got a good little patch above the house. I mentioned in the last stream. And I got it all cleared off. And I've just been going and raking any sod that's on it, raking up any rocks and kind of tough dirt, breaking up some of the stuff that's just kind of clumpy, raking her all up, cleaning her up, and then I get my mattock out and I turn the ground and basically just kind of go along the length that I want a mounded row, and I just go along there, basically the width of the row, a little bit on either side. Then I go back over it, going on one side, pulling up, and then go back on the other side, pulling dirt up. Then I take the rake again and I rake it all up, rake the rocks out of her as best as I can. You're not going to get all the rocks a bit out, just easier to work with, If you have anything that's in the ground, they don't have to compete against the rocks and grow around them, stuff like that. So, rake it up, then hoe it up. Been hoeing around a lot. Hoeing up the row, get it nice and peaked, nice long row, then go down, rake the top, and then kind of make a little trench kind of thing. Got to mix in a little bit of fertilizer, and hopefully I'll do that. Put it kind of down inside. Then I'm going to plant potatoes tomorrow. It's the full moon this weekend, so after the May full moon, you're supposed to be clear of frost. You can get frost up until June 6th, but basically after the full moon in May, you can start putting stuff in the ground and not have to worry about by the time it comes up that the frost is going to get it. So there's some stuff that you can put in now that the frost, it might not be a super kill frost, so it wouldn't really hurt it, but some things just won't handle it yet. So you got to kind of wait on that, but you got to be ready to go because the time is short, and the earlier you can get it in while avoiding the frost, the earlier you're going to have for having veggies in the summertime, and then that way you're not all rushed by the end of summer trying to harvest everything and and all that stuff, right? What we're going to do with it. From what I understand here too, this next week, I imagine I'm trying to get my stuff done this weekend because this week coming up, the father-in-law and I will be in squash, planting a field of squash. So we did that last year. That worked out pretty good. All the work is manual, right? It's all manual labor, but at the end of it, after paying for a little bit of help and paying for the plastic that gets laid down and paying for the spray and paying for just a few other expenses themselves, you get it spray. If you're dealing with a big crop, you got to end up getting it. You got to get it sprayed. It's just how it is. Because you get these squash bugs, and you're never going to get rid of them unless you spray them. But you spray them early, and then basically when they're first coming up, because that's when I started getting them. Just a few weeks after that, because the bugs will come back once you give them that second time to go. And by that time, the bush is big enough that you don't have to worry about it anyways. They're never going to eat it. But when they're young and first coming up, that's when your bugs are going to get at them. That's when your crows are going to come in and pick the seeds out and pluck up the little roots and everything like that. So we got a crow that I put out. It's on a pole. It's like a telescopic pole, so it like extends out, and the crow is on a rope on the end of it. It's not a real crow, and fly around in a circle, right? And that keeps. And then also another thing that keeps crows and other birds away. It's not a crow, I guess, that you got flying. It's like a bigger kind of predator bird. That's what it's supposed to look like. But also some other things that we did last year, and I mean, I'm sure we'll do it this year too, is we'll put a couple posts on the ground, and quite literally we're going to hang dead crows on those posts as a sign to the other crows not to screw around with our squash, right? This will happen to you. You'll be hung up like these guys. Let me get the thing on here on my channel itself, on the thing, the square rectangle thing. Laptop. Not laptop. That would be another way that I would pronounce it, even though I know it's laptop. I would call it laptop. Me like Ricky. Gary Clothier. Hi, Peter, and all. Thanks. Good to see you, Gary. Hi, Peter from Canada. Liters regular gas. Kind of process that for a second. 227. That's ridiculous. We got 199 right now. 227. And the MSM is telling us it will be 233.9 tomorrow. How I remember when it used to be like they'd raise it like every week or a couple weeks maybe, but not a significant change. But now it's like multiple times in 1 week that they change these things. Fritz Bar, how's it going, buddy? Good to see you, Kat. Good to see you, man. Glad for you to join. How's things? What am I really talking about tonight? What did I even title this? Everything is fine. Yes, everything is fine, guys. Everything is okay. There's nothing to worry about. We are on the right trajectory. We have the right people in charge, and we're going to come out of this smooth sailing. What do you think about that? Do you think that's true? I don't think so. They're out to starve us. The Guidestones are in effect. Yeah, they are. It's like they turned on the Guidestones. The Guidestones. Bring the population. Thumbs down to everything going to be fine. Yeah, for sure. Everything is not going well. Everything is the exact fine right now. And more, you talk to sensible people out there, you understand this. Thumbs up to the stream, however. Hey, thanks, Dave. Dude. No, sorry, it wasn't you. It was John Doe the other night. It's funny. In East Coast Canadian Super Conspiracy Thursday there, John Doe said something about everybody should get their boosters or something like that, and he was joking, obviously, and someone else said a comment, but they were joking too, right? And then someone else said, "Get this guy out of here," right? And then I laughed, and then immediately, as soon as I laughed, I seen his comment deleted and put on timeout. And I'm like, no, Beebs, abort. So I guess that wasn't you, Dave FL. But I was in another stream where you got the boot as well, right? It's always, the chicanery that goes on. In the case of last night, though, or Thursday night, it was all good. Veebs wasn't actually out trying to, cause problems. At least I don't think. I only know her digitally, I guess. No, just kidding. But no, I only know her digitally. But yeah. Anyway, so what was I talking about? Yes. You stream, yeah, I remember that now. Yeah, that was like a Saturday or something. It was right around just after Christmas. It was just after Christmas, and there was some stuff going on in the chat, and there was a little bit of back and forth, and these things happen, and we carry on like men, don't we? Here we are this evening. So gas prices, they just keep going up, and you just keep hearing the news saying more and more people are considering switching over to EVs. I already went on a little EV rant and talked about Tesla and Tesla. When I like to refer to Elon Musk, I call him Tesla. He's not Tesla. He's not like Tesla. Elon Musk, right? He's got his charger stations all over. It's like he knew that this was going to be a thing, right? Obviously, he's in the inner circle, right? So he had those things set up when there wasn't a Tesla barely in the province, right? And they had Tesla chargers at all the major Irving big stops in the province, and probably some other places too. But those three places specifically, because they're on the main highway, everything goes past at some point in time one of these big stops if you're going through New Brunswick. So gas keeps going up. There's no end to it going up because they want it to be unaffordable. They want people to stop driving. They want people to switch their vehicles over to EVs, because I would dare say there's going to be some sort of contract or government incentive, some sort of incentive that has people, probably businesses starting out, businesses will be switching over their vehicles to fleet vehicles, and they will be electric, or they will have the capacity to be transferred into electric when the time is required. I would dare say that you're going to start seeing that a lot. You're going to see a lot of vehicles, places trading in their gas vehicles and switching them over to electric vehicles. I think that there's going to be incentives to do that. And then, of course, when people are doing that, then you know that everybody's going to be like, yes, it's time that we get rid of fossil fuels and get on the EV train, car thing, right? And when it comes down to it, I don't care if they bring out electric cars. Like, why can't there be gasoline, and why can't they bring out electric cars and the two compete, competition, like how it's supposed to be? And really, whoever wins out will win out. Instead, it's like, we're going to halt your production altogether and make it so you can only drive this car. So surely EV, the stocks on EVs are going to go up, because you're not going to be allowed or able to afford gas vehicles. Not to mention, a lot of vehicles, not only is Tesla into the electric vehicles, but he's into the self-driving vehicles. And Tesla's not the only one in that market. I'm sure there's lots of other companies out there that are doing the same thing that we don't even know about. We haven't even heard of them, right? Or that, all the companies that are currently out there, if you've noticed in the last year, 2 years, it's really hard to get vehicles, new vehicles, car lots, truck lots, empty. They can't get certain processors, certain chips, certain boards, certain sensors and different things like that go on these vehicles, right? And then you see these dealerships and they're just bare bones, empty. So that is showing a decline, right? Something's going on. right? But it just only seems to happen at these particular times where it just so happens to feel like it's convenient for certain people to have this agenda and to carry everybody else is just going to be right. And again, I wouldn't electric vehicles if it wasn't this bullshit or them saying we gotta save the planet. We only got 10 years to turn it around. And it's like and they're saying that we're not even gonna be able to turn it around, right? Because they said when all the recycling and all stuff going on, how much it actually puts in to changing the carbon footprint is very minimal, right? It's very minimal. It's a big fraud. It's a big scandal. It's a big marketing scheme, right down to the different colored garbage bags that you got to sort and stuff like that. When they all end up going the same place and buried in the same trash mountain, run over day in and day out by friggin' payloaders and bulldozers, right? Like it's absolutely ridiculous. It's a money making scheme where all kinds of people they give out all these contracts and all these credits and these different loans and all this stuff for people that are switching over to all this stuff. Why? Because when you are getting a loan, you therefore have to promote it, and so they get these people that are in places of promotion, right, that are in the public eye, and they get them to promote whatever the idea is, just like any other propaganda person does, the news or musician or actor or an athlete or whatever it is, right? Everybody pushing something. Everybody is a whore, right? Not everybody, obviously not you guys, and we know and whatnot, and people that we don't know even out there, but to be in the mainstream, to be in the upper crust of things, you have to be an absolute whore, willing to prostitute yourself out, whatever the cause might be, in order to gain just a little bit of power, a little bit of seniority, a little bit of clout, right? A little bit of fame, a little bit of riches, right? All these things that are just vanity and will come to naught one day and will never last. They're not sustainable. The current climate that we're living in right now is not sustainable. They talk about sustainable development and how we have to develop more sustainable means of living. Well, nothing that they are doing is sustainable. And for instance, East Coast, Matt, he sent me a link there tonight talking about how that there's, I don't know, million or so plus LGBTQRSPTCU FYMM, like, though that they just keep expanding the letters, right? They add more letters. They use the same letters for other things. They're gonna end up adding letters to the alphabet for this thing, but it's just a hodgepodge where they just, oh wait, this person likes to have sex with mason jars, so we have to have a letter for them too, right? Or, oh, this person, there are people out there that like to sleep with actual pieces of the Berlin Wall, so we have to have a letter for them too. We're all in this, right? It's all this hodgepodge of sexual degeneracy and, quite honestly, mental retardation, mental buggery that's been going on. All these people look a certain way. They carry themselves a certain way. They all look abused. They all look like they're tortured, right? They all look terrible, right? And they paint themselves up to look terrible. Spikes and piercings and 5 different colored shaped hair, right? With several different layers and whatnot, right? Like the makeup, friggin' body modifications and stuff, right? Like all the stuff, it's all so vain and so unsustainable. Like this group of people themselves that they're trying to expand everything for, that they're basically shutting everybody out, right down to the children, to the point that they're going to allow pedophiles and queers and faggots to go and sit and talk to your kids and read them stories and have them on your lap and be able to go to the schools, spend time with them, talk to them, and try to groom them into becoming like them. At one point in time, was a vulnerable person, and they got brainwashed, or they got seduced, or they got raped, or whatever happened to them, and now they've gone down this spiraling death path. Because again, all these people, they all relate solely based around, their whole persona is based around their sexual preference. Hi. Okay, I'm Peter the fag right now, okay? Hi, I'm Peter and I like to take it up the asshole. Okay. I didn't need to know that or want to know it. Now I don't want to be around you. I kind of figured you did. You didn't really have to tell me. Right? Come on. Everybody associates their entire worth based around their sexual thing, their sexual degeneracy, their mental frame, right? That's how they build their life. So it's like bullying, okay? Bullying got introduced when? Back in like mid to late 2000s, and really in the 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14-ish, 15-ish, right before Trump became the bully. We didn't defeat the bullies, and then came the bully, and look what we got, right? And the whole bullying thing, the only thing that did was take the checks and balances system, being a kid and having to go through these different rites of passage in order to find your way into adulthood. Instead, they stub these kids and stunt them into this arrested development, right? Where you don't have any checks and balances. You don't have anybody held. Nobody gets made fun of for anything. Nobody says, hey, why don't you come and do this with us, kind of thing, right? Like we're guys, we're going to instead of, going and talking to that middle-aged person with pink hair that's trying to talk to you about sex, right? Instead of, having the regular stuff, you have adults coercing kids, young people, into sexual exploitation, right? And it ruins them and it destroys them, right? And because it's allowed and the children see that it's allowed, right? And the pedophiles see that it's permitted. It's literally they're giving us access, right? Before we had to hide ourselves. And not, keep completely in the shadows, right? And keep everything secret. We had to do a lot of work in order to rape these kids, right? And have our way with them, right? But now it's like, hey, I'm here to have sex with your daughter. Get off my front step. Actually, no, there's probably not even going to be that, right? Sodom and Gomorrah. Peter, your voice is glitchy sometimes. How often, Gary? Can anybody else confirm this for me? I got a new phone here. I don't have my headphones in because this phone doesn't seem to have a plug-in. Doesn't seem to have a plug-in for the headphones, and I know it's really good, picked up sound really well. So maybe doesn't seem to be good connection. Confirmed. Hey, Segway 84. Confirmed. My voice is glitching. Often? Here's a question. Was it always glitching? Either. Really? Often, yes. Like to the point where you can't even hear anything? Is it that bad? Because I don't want to torture you with me being like, sounds like static. Off and on. Staticky. How about now? Still static? There. It just happened. Oh, man. That's kind of a bummer. It just happened? Yes? Yes? Good? No glitch? Glitching. No glitch. 1 for glitch, 2 for no glitches. It's good again now. Okay, must have been maybe the glitching. Yeah. I thought it might have been the plug-in cord. Good now? All right. Well, off and on, Peter. Frig. I need something else to do. All I'm using is my phone. Am I too loud? Is it glitching? Sorry. Now. Son of a bitch. Now. Now? Can you put it to hear what you said? Okay, yeah, here. Yeah, I'm an idiot. Let's hear. This is going to be, sorry if this bugs you guys. Literally, death path. Because, again, all these people, they all relate solely based around, their whole persona is based around. Oh, yeah. My name. Hi, I'm Peter, and I like to take it up the asshole. Or open another YouTube window I'm running. Okay. I didn't. Or open another YouTube video. I do. I got that running right now. But I'll turn the thing off. I can hear the little glitch and. Son of a gun. Well, I think we'll have to. I think we'll have to roll with it because I don't know really what else I'm gonna do here. Oh yeah, that's bad right there where it does that. Huh. Well, frig guys, I don't know what to tell you because I don't really know what else to do. Open another YT window with your stream running. Like on the computer or on the phone. This is like you're holding a boomer's hand. I can figure stuff out, but like sometimes. Damn, I was really looking forward to this stream. Yeah, I was too, Segway. I was like getting ready to start rolling. I was having some good flow. Ha, boomer. I know, Kale Schnell. I'm son of a boomer too, right? Like that's the thing. My dad turned 78 this year, right? 37 this year. 37 years old. 37 years young. I'm a boomer. I'm 57. Well, that's the thing, right? Like having like a 78-year-old dad, right? I'm kind of almost grafted into being somewhat of a boomer because, like my friends, most of their parents were all like, you know, in their 30s and stuff like that, right? My parents were in their 50s, right? Okay. Anyways, let's get going here. What happened to the mullet? I know, Lee. I know. I gave it a bad trim job. One time. I kind of cut it in a little bit too close. I didn't like the way it was kind of like, it was just like kind of sticking out and wasn't kind of falling like to the sides. It was kind of like, it looked really radish by the end of it. And so I had to get rid of it. It just had to go. But, you know, winter is coming again. And if we have another dark winter, or if the real true dark winter is coming, then here's the mullet will remake an appearance. That's war mullet. You see India's severe heat wave process of filling itself. Seems better. Excellent. Yes, everybody is cutting stores because they need to keep their own storehouses filled up, because if you give away all your grain, then you don't have enough to feed your own people. And that would be really dumb, right? But here, we're just going to shut down all, you know, oil and gas, right? We're not going to worry about heat or anything like that. Dang it! Darn it, Lee! Come in here, you criticize me about cutting my mullet, and now you tell me I got to restart the stream. It's glitching, right? That's what you're saying? Is it glitching? Is it glitching, Lee? I'm kidding. Yeah, that's what they all been telling me in the chat. In darkness, what's up, buddy? Going, everybody. Boom. What just happened there? Did anybody else see that? Did anybody else see what just happened there? Because something just happened there. How's the glitch? Do I sound better? Did you not see what happened? I got the buffering wheel, Circle of Doom. Well, I did too. It went, you're live. Whoa, seems like it's back to normal. Is YouTube helping me? Is YouTube becoming a friend of Peter Branson? What were we talking about? Might be your connection. My connection is full bar right now. Thanks, Susan, for helping. Yes, thank you, Susan. Washowski. Thank you very much, Susan. So, when we're too stupid to put up stores and to put extra away and whatnot as a country, when we're more concerned about sending money away to another country to fight a war that has nothing to do with us, and that is frankly a family war that has nothing to do with any of us, but has all to do with a bunch of, you know, stuff that's going on over there, right? With people from here and down the States and all over, you know, the elites, they have ties to Ukraine where they have to defend it, right? And how weird of a whole situation is it all, right? Putin's the new Hitler. He's Junior Hitler. Putin's Junior Hitler. And then you got Vladimir Zelenko. And then it's Vladimir Zelenko. And I'm gay Jewish comedian. Gay Jewish comedian with the backing of literal groups that call themselves Nazis, right? Nazi stay behind networks. And I'm not getting into the whole Nazi thing. I don't really care about that. But it's like, The hypocrisy is being unveiled for what it is right now in front of us, right? Like, you've got a Jewish gay comedian starred in a TV series where he was a teacher and became prime minister of Ukraine. Then in real life, they're like, "Hey, Vladimir, how about you become real president of Ukraine?" Right? How about we just make you real president, huh? And it's like, come on, what's with that, right? And then they've got literal Nazis working with them, these Nazi inspired battalions, right? They've got the insignias, they say the things, they do the stuff, right? It's all very formal. What's his name? The reporter, he's like, "What do you have to say about this Azov battalion who's fighting on the suspected ties to Nazism?" I don't even know who asked him the question. He's like, "They are what they are." They are what they are, and they serve our purpose. Huh? Fuck off, huh? So, I believe it's an attempt to cause an international holodomor. Weird that it involves Ukraine once again. Yes, they always go to Ukraine, right? Because there's always something that's going on that's contrary to what they're telling you, and they're telling you what's happening without telling you what's happening, and they're showing you what's happening but telling you that something else is happening. It's such gaslighting. It's such a mind frig. And they just do it, wash, rinse, and repeat, because the news cycle is so fast, because there's so much stuff going on, that they just have to keep on repeating it, right? They just have to say it, get it across, make sure it's out on different platforms, have the big wigs saying it, have celebrities saying it, and as long as enough people have somebody that they worship as an idol come out for that thing, then they will also be for that thing, right? They're the breadbasket of Europe and much of the world, is what I believe. Yes, they do. Their exports and whatnot, they export just about everything, right? And that's not going to be happening, right? Russia's halting some of their exports. We're putting sanctions on Russia, saying that what Putin does is so terrible and that he's a dictator and, bad, Putin bad. But yet, our countries are literally selling us up the river and selling our country out from underneath us and handing it over to others that, quite frankly, have no stake in this country. There's no need for it to survive for them because countries at this point are obsolete because we're a global family, a global market. And as they roll out the digital ID, we're all going to be that much more closer, right? But not really. We're only going to be further apart. We've gotten further apart as civilization as the more that we can communicate. Oh, we can communicate with anybody in the world now, digitally, not in real life. No real human connection. More people have more friends online than they do in real life, in all most likely actuality, right? And what is that? We're building the AI, right? Like, we're building the AI with everything that we do, right? And we can't help it because we're in this machine, right? Vault Dweller, good to see you, buddy. All roads lead back to Rome. They want to make the Fatima prophecy happen. Yeah, you're freaking right. There's a lot of talk on the Fatima prophecies again coming to be fulfilled. That is going to be, okay, guys. They're building, is it in the United Arab Emirates, where they're building the cube to Christianity, the cube to Judaism, the cube to Mohammedanism, right? The three Abrahamic, the three Abrahamic faiths. Is that what they're doing? We've been hearing about this for a long time, right? Because it kind of comes and kind of goes, kind of comes and kind of goes, kind of comes into the consciousness and then it leaves the consciousness, right? Until a little bit more work is done behind the scenes and then they talk about it again, right? So the Fatima prophecy, what is that? Who was Fatima? Or was it one of the girls that she was a Muslim? Or Fatima, that's the name of Muhammad's daughter or one of his wives? Whatever it is, that's the connection to Islam. And that they've been trying to bridge the gap. They're trying to connect with Islam because you can see, okay, that obviously in a lot of those Arab countries, there's a lot of shady, evil stuff that goes on there, corrupt stuff, because it's all on a really, local level and warlords and everything like that, right? Over here, it's all done more in suits and ties, right? And nice smiles, right? But it's all the same everywhere. And in fact, those people, they end up being under a heavier thumb because they're allowed to get away with whatever they want there because they just kill people indiscriminately. Not everybody, but you know what I'm saying, right? Like, what just happened there the other day? This has nothing to do with Muslims. This has everything to do with Israelis. Israeli forces shot that Palestinian reporter, shot her right behind the ear, right? Like they were aiming for her. She would have had a helmet on her, flak jacket and everything like that. So they had to specifically target that spot where there was some soft flesh and no Teflon, right? Like when you think about it, they came out and they said that it was probably from the Palestinian side. The Israeli government came out and said that they knew who did it, but their prime minister came out and said it was most likely from the Palestinian side. And then when they were doing the funeral, they didn't like that the Palestinians were, in the streets and making such a big procession. That was too much, kind of thing. The Israeli forces literally went in and started beating people at the funeral, firing tear gas and stuff at the funeral. They had the casket and they're walking in with the casket. They knocked the casket. Like, no, not all the way to the ground. Like, it was standing up pretty much, and they picked it right back up. Right? It didn't look like she was a very big woman or what, but like they literally tried to rip the casket out of their hand and threw it to the floor. Like, that is insane. Like, you imagine, like, you hear about, Bloods and Crips, and they're at the funeral home, having visitation and whatnot, and then rival gang comes in and shoots up the funeral home, right? You see that stuff in movies. You hear about that stuff, true crime, right? But this was the government forces doing this. And then they were saying that the Palestinians were attacking the Israeli forces, and it was because the Palestinians, they were just supposed to have this quick and not so vibrant procession, I guess. It's freaking crazy. And you're not going to join the Arabs and the Jews unless the Arabs and the Catholics join together. Right? And because you have all these inroads that are being made in the United Arab Emirates with the Saudis and everything like that, right? The connections there. I mean, they're the ones that are building this, these cubes, right? All these religions. So what do you think about all that? Because when it comes down to it, how are these religions similar, right? Let's get down to that. Before we do that, I want to check out a couple of these chats. Conversion of Russia to Catholicism. Yes, seen that. Israeli government is a brutal regime. Seems like a terrible place to live. It does. Fatima, 3 girls saw Our Lady and told them that Russia must be brought under the Catholic Church. This 8's why Nazis were heavily supported by the Catholic Church. And they had the, what was it, the Pash... Oh, Pash... What was the deal that Hitler had with the Jews in Europe to start sending them to the Middle East? What was that pact? They literally had coins minted with the the candelabra or whatever, right? The Star of David and the swastika, eagle on the other side. Havar Agreement. There we go. There we go. Right? And who obviously supported Hitler a lot? Catholic Church did, right? So, and again, what's going on in Ukraine? You got a Jew and you've got, supposed Nazis. What's all going on here, right? It's a lot of stuff that's going on under the scene. Have you heard of the New Jerusalem Project, making Ukraine neutral and center of the 3 Abrahamic faiths, 7 Noahide laws? I did hear about that Ukraine thing. Like, that's something that doesn't really, no one really talks about it, but I did see a video on that and I was like, that's quite interesting, because again, that's where I was kind of getting at too. The 3 things that you can say about the 3 Abrahamic faiths, right, is that the Noahide laws will suffice. Right? Have you read the Noahide laws? All right. Have you read them though? Really though? Because I'm going to tell you, apart from, the king being the Antichrist, most Christians will agree with the laws. Most Arabs will agree with the laws. Jews will agree with the laws. And it will unite these 3 under a religious passion and fervor to see that these Noahide laws are enacted. This is the oneness doctrine. We are all one. We all go back to Noah, right? Coming off the boat. You got 3 Abrahamic religions. You got Noah having 3 sons, right? I know they didn't I know they didn't, weren't the patriarchs of these religions. I'm not saying that, but the 3, right? Shabugala, good to see you, brother. Pope met with high Muslim leader in Babylon recently. Yeah, Babylon being Iraq Babylon, like that Babylon, or Babylon being USA, the United States of America. Good to see you, Shabugala. It's crazy when you think about it, guys. That's why this whole pedophile agenda and the homoerotica agenda and all the degeneracy there, that's not going to fly under the Noahides, right? Right? Albert Pike's Great Third World War, right? It's meant to destroy Islam. It's meant to destroy Zionism. It's meant to destroy Christianity. Okay? Yes. That's the thing, right? In darkness. Is that the worship? That's why I said the 3 things that they have in common, right? Is these laws. They all would agree to most of these things, except for we're not going to agree to the Jesus being idolatry, right? Arabs, they'll be fine with Jesus being an idolater, right? The Jews, well, of course, they're going to be happy as can be. I feel that there's going to be, scripts and documents and artifacts that are going to be brought out, that are going to be uncovered, and some of them are going to come out of the bottom of the Vatican underneath in the catacombs there in their secret underground library. They have, most of human history documented. There's going to be something that's going to come out, and it's going to say that Jesus Christ was not the Son of God. That he was a good person, a good teacher, he was a prophet, all these things. He did great works, and he was an ascended master, and all this crap. But he did not die and was not raised again on the cross. He's not the Son of God, and he's not at the right hand of the Father. Right? That's what's going to come out. We just misunderstood Jesus. And Paul wasn't an original apostle, so he had no right to write any of the books. He never even met Jesus when he was alive. That's what they'll say. The Jews hate Paul, right? Muslims will argue against anything in the Bible that is counter to what the Quran dictates about the Bible, right? They'll go along with the Bible until it doesn't suit their agenda, and then they'll say, no, this is why the Bible's wrong. The Bible is right when it's right, but it's wrong when we say it's wrong, right? In the Old Testament, you're not going to have any Jew discounting that, but you're certainly going to have the Jews discounting the New Testament, right? It's going to be hate speech. Do you see how the word Jew is used in the New Testament? It's not good, ever. It's never a positive how it's mentioned. It's always in a way that's, if not derogatory, it's like basically like, you don't want to be one of these people because God's really doing work on them. I believe this is the introduction to the Sunday law, to be honest. I don't know how that will fit into the Judaism aspect, though. Okay. See, that's where it is. There's this Sunday law thing, okay? And that is what's being pushed by the Catholic Church. Want the Sunday law, the Gaia worship. They want the Sunday law Sabbath. And frankly, the Jews would probably, whatever the king said, right? If the king said that Sunday would be the Sabbath, then they would probably go with that too, right? Not everybody is going to get exactly what they want from it, right? I believe the ADL wanted the New Testament to be labeled as hate. Oh, they do, for sure. They hate the New Testament. The Antichrist will be Satan masquerading as Christ-like figure, an angel of light, so to speak, who somehow will save us. That's right, of course, because that's what Lucifer is, right? Oh, well, Lucifer just means angel of light. Yeah, and Satan, being Lucifer, right, masquerades himself as an angel of light. So, you should also understand that he can also cause his ministers to come across as angels of light. So you've got all these, the white brotherhood out there, right? You got the white magic, right? All the workers of light, right? All the Christ consciousness pushers, right? Start a gang called the Christ Consciousness Punchers. Christ consciousness. That sounds like the Holy Spirit, right? But it's not, because they don't actually acknowledge the finished work of Jesus Christ. They acknowledge Jesus. They acknowledge him as being a Messiah prototype figure. They acknowledge a bunch of different stuff about him, but they don't give him the full credit that he is the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, the I am, right? They don't give it to him. They won't. They'll say they believe in God, right? They say they believe in God and the Father, but there's a point in time where they're going to drop Jesus like a hot cake as being the Son of God and say that he prepared the way for love and God's consciousness to permeate throughout the world, because from Christianity sprang forth all of the advancements in the known civilized world, and we wouldn't have civilization without Christianity. Okay? And what is the West but the leg of Rome, right? Revived Rome, the continuation of the Roman system, right? The progression of civilization leading to the culmination here coming up in a however many months or years or whenever, right? Of a new world order, the age of Aquarius, the leaving of the age of Pisces, and going into the age of Aquarius, okay? Where everybody jumps on the Christ consciousness train, and that's the only way you're going to be able to jump to the next level. And the problem is that true born again believers will not jump on that train, and they will deny it. And so it'll be said that you're holding back the evolution of mankind. We like you guys, you're good people and all this stuff, but you're really screwing this up for us, right? And if you keep it up, we're not going to allow you to go into the future with us, right? You're going to have to be left out, right? But they can't just do that in the new system, right? Because again, this new system is going to be what most people want. So instead of kicking people out, people will kick themselves out by not receiving the mark of the beast, right? You take the mark of the beast to show your allegiance to the beast. Who can make war with the beast? All the kings of the earth, the 10 kings of the earth, give their power to rule with the beast for 1 hour. That's what they got, right? They don't realize that they're only going to rule a short time. So all this building up, completing the statue of Nebuchadnezzar's dream, only to have it smote at the feet because the iron and the clay toes can't cleave together. And the stone that was cut out without hands comes and smotes the image and breaks it to pieces. And all the chaff and the dust and everything is blown away. And the only thing left is that stone that was cut out. And that stone fills the entire earth. And that is the kingdom of Jesus Christ when he returns and rules and reigns, bringing the nations into submission for God the Father. So many will be deceived. That's why it's paramount to point to the law to convict people's hearts to come to Christ for repentance. It gets so hard to get people to listen. Especially young people. Yes, that's very true. It's hard to get young people because young people don't believe anybody that's too much older than them. And they especially don't believe anybody that they're told that they're not supposed to believe, right? I seen in a movie one time that this religious guy kidnapped women and held them captive for all their lives and made them serve him, right? I heard that religious people were all crazy and handled snakes and rolled around the floor. I heard that Christians don't believe in science, you know? And all they have to do is see a movie or see some show where they make fun of Christians, or they, edit a clip, and they sometimes don't have to edit a clip. You can just find any of these holy rollers and stuff like that, and these freaking mega churches in these big friggin' Pentecostal crusades where everybody's running up and down the aisle and smashing each other on the forehead and dropping, right? Right? It's embarrassing, right? Like, to anybody that's not a Christian that watches that stuff, they see that and they're like, this is absolutely retarded. Right? Meanwhile, the person that's going there saying, this is the Holy Spirit. We're worshiping God and He's living through us. No, He's not. He wouldn't have you doing this. You are acting like someone who is possessed and being coached. That's under hypnosis. That's under a spell. That's under demonic possession. Yes, we do have to convict people with the law. The Pope is Pontifex Maximus. Same position held by Roman emperors from Augustus to Constantine. I believe this authority will be given the Antichrist. That's true, right? Because here's the thing, right? The Pope, they say, oh, Peter was the first Pope. Jesus told him, you're the first Pope. I'll give you the keys, right? No, Jesus has the keys. Okay? Peter but he was the leader, but at times was in opposition with Paul, and at times Paul was being more of a leader than Peter, right? So they say Peter was the first pope, but I don't see anything in the Bible where it says that he was the first pope, right? All I see is that he was an apostle and a disciple, and that he went forth and preached. Never heard him say that I am the head of the church. I am the vicar of Christ. If that's the case, we are all vicars of Christ, not physically the representation, but when we put on the Holy Spirit and walk in it, put on the whole armor of God and walk in it, then we are representatives. Don't rob Peter to pay Paul. That's right. We are representatives of our faith, which is the author and finisher of our faith, Jesus Christ. Right? So, when they say that Peter is the rock, Jesus was declaring himself as the rock. He said, Peter, you are but a stone, a pebble, right? On this rock I will build my church, right? And the gates of hell shall not stand against it, right? He wasn't saying, Peter, you're the man, right? Peter was a very important person, right? Jesus put a lot of trust in Peter. He had great things for Peter to do, right? Peter's one of the main characters throughout the New Testament. Gets in a lot of, tight situations. Gets out of it, fails many times, comes back from it, right? But he wasn't the first pope. And then the only time that you actually have this whole popery come into effect is a few generations after the apostles were all murdered, all martyred, killed for the cause of Christ. And then the guys that were there, that bared their mantle after them, also done away with. And then you get, maybe 2, 3 generations removed from them. Well, guess what? You can have a completely different institution, especially at the time when there was great persecution. It went from great persecution to now we're not killing Christians anymore. And in fact, we're making the state religion Christianity. But we're gonna have all the scripture in Latin. Most of you speak Greek. None of you speak Latin. So only we can read this special language. Us and, some of the elites and the aristocrats. Right? But even them, if they try to read it, then we'll, condemn them to the fires of hell. Right? So the Catholic Church, the Holy Roman Empire, didn't come until after, when Constantine, right, on the bridge, seeing the cross emblazoned in the sky, saying this is the sign in which you are to go and conquer, to win the battle, right? And so he did the sign of the cross. Well, what is that? Because that symbol was something else, right? It meant something else also, right? They were Mithras worshippers, right? The sun god, right? The sun that came out of the stone. He was born from the stone. But Mithras is just a counterfeit to Jesus Christ, because Jesus Christ is represented by the sun, right? The sun that chases away the darkness. No darkness can stand before him, right? So the whole Pope thing, the whole Catholic Church thing, it came around after the fact of Christianity's persecution and its the underground churches. And so then basically the aristocrats, the priest class took over it. It became a political tool to use, right? That's what they used when they could no longer use the authority of the Senate. They moved over to the Pope, right? And so then that became the engine, right? That controlled everything. And then later on, then what happened, right? The kings, they started saying, hey, we got to get power back from the Pope. So we're going to start crowning ourselves. And then you get the divine right of kings, right? It's crazy. History is crazy. Let's see what else we were talking about. I went to school to be a farmer, but I couldn't spell, so God made me a framer. Filled out your papers wrong, eh? Like, jumpins. When am I gonna milk a cow here? All I'm doing is putting up these walls. Jesus was referring to the statement Peter made that Jesus is the Son of God. That was the rock. That's right. Yep, obfuscate the truth. Satan's greatest tool. That's it. And it's so easy when you take the truth and you obfuscate it, right? Obfuscate it, right? He takes truth, he uses it, and he twists it a little bit. Because people like truth, right? But they also like to feel good, right? This is why KJV is so important. It uses original Antioch Greek manuscripts and preserved Masoretic Hebrew. Exactly. Well, the New Testament wasn't written in Greek. They were all Jews. They were all Jews, so it had to have been in Hebrew. No. The known world at the time spoke Greek. When Rome ruled, the reason why the Catholic Church used Latin is because most of the people in Rome spoke Greek. Why? Because before Rome was Greece, and what they were the world empire, right? They brought the Hellenistic civilization, right? And the rules and philosophies and laws that came out of that civilization, right? It's just a building, an evolution, a progression of man and civilization till we get to the end goal, which is for them transcendence into the divine. Let us, we can't allow man to also reach out and take from the tree of life, now that he's taken from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, lest he take out of the tree of life and also live forever. Well, that's what man wants to do, while not being repentant from going against God's nature and what he wanted in the first place. I mean, that's what Judas' biggest problem was. Judas tried to push the narrative. He tried to get Jesus to, Wake up. That's what the whole thing was. Oh, there was a secret plot between Judas and Jesus behind the scenes, right? And that Judas basically just wanted Jesus to come out and, be the savior of Jerusalem. And they were trying to, basically by selling him out, he was basically being Satan, because Satan entered into him to try to tempt Jesus to stop them from killing him, to bring himself off the cross. That's what Judas was doing. That's when Satan entered into him, trying to manipulate the situation. Right? People that like to manipulate situations and obfuscate the truth are little devils. And silver. Don't forget the silver. Yes. You ever notice why Sparta is so demonized in media and television in general? A lot of this because they use their surplus of copper and iron coins to circumvent the flow of intel, money, powers, gold. Circumvent the flow of... Am I reading that wrong? Silver and gold. Oh, there we go. In fact, they made it illegal for... What is INTL? Commerce to flow into their country. Gold and silver itself. Interesting. So that means they couldn't be controlled because, gold and silver is, timeless, right? So they were making their own money, right? Makes sense, right? You don't go with everybody else and you're out of the family. And it's weird, you think they would be pushing the, the homoerotica side of Sparta more, right? Or was that just propaganda? Was that just propaganda? International. That's what I thought, but I have to ask the question sometimes. Because I'm half retarded. Was Judas mad that Jesus was not going to restore the kingdom of Israel at that time? Yes. Yes. I heard this thing out there that basically Judas was a Sicarii, or part of that, right? He was part of like this sect of Sicarii, or I don't think he was part of the Essenes, but he was kind of in bed a little bit with these assassins. I don't know if there's any actual truth to any of this, but this is what a Bible teacher at a Bible college said to us one time. And it was basically, the whole thing was to kind of, instead of looking at Judas as doing something bad and, he was met with the reward of his doings, right? Committed suicide because of it. But basically that Judas was actually trying to do a good thing. That's what we were told. And I knew that wasn't true. Well, actually, no, sorry. At first, I was kind of like, that's kind of interesting. It's still messed up, but he was just trying to do what was right. But, there were those two dudes in David's day that went into Ishbosheth, who was one of Saul's sons when he was crowned king after Saul had died, and they were also anointing David also as king, but Ishbosheth, he was the rightful heir. And so there was two guys that were part of David's men, or they did something around in David's camp, and they took it upon themselves to go in the daytime lest any suspicion be aroused. And they went in, it says, during the cool of the day, when Ishbosheth was asleep in his bedchamber, and they decapitated him in broad daylight in his bedroom, on his bed, and brought the head to David. And when they were like, hey, we got word about Ishbosheth. Oh, yeah? What's that? He's dead. Oh, yeah? How do you know? And they're like, show him the head. And then David's like, you thought that by killing the king of Israel that and bringing me his head that you would receive some kind of a reward for this? You think that you were going to be lifted up and edified because of this deed? Like, wow. And he's like, yo, fall on these two pieces of shit, right? And then his boys come in and right? And they didn't get any reward, but they received a reward for what they thought that they were doing, which was gonna win them favor or be a good thing because this was gonna make David king. It's gonna get rid of Ishbosheth. They would get promoted in David's court, right? It was all gonna work out great, you know. Didn't work out so great. And that's like a lot of people in this world that seem to think that there's this victory that they're going to have where we defeat the enemy ourselves and then we go into the golden age, right? We march into the age of Aquarius. Well, if you're defeating one order, right? If we were to bring down the New World Order, would that not leave a giant power vacuum? In which case that somebody would swoop in, you know? Somebody would, cyclone themselves in? I was trying to think of a vacuum. Someone will suck that up and fill that void and save the day. And that'll be the Antichrist. Whoever brings down this system, right? That's going to be the man. That's going to be the man. Now, speaking of which, this country, Mr. Top, how close is James Top, to Ottawa? I heard he's in Ontario now, right? So he's supposed to get into Ontario, or into Ottawa, the endish of June. That's his suspected arrival. And I am going to imagine that when James Top arrives, by the time that he arrives in Ottawa, will he be by himself or will a large contingent entourage of veterans be walking with him to Ottawa? Or just, other people that are supporting him? Will they be walking with him into Ottawa? Will he walk in by himself and everybody else will be there waiting for his arrival? This particular thing, I mean, this guy, when did he start walking? When did James Top start walking? Has been linked to Scary, which was the Zionist of the time. Thank you, Vault Dweller. You know. What was I saying? James Top. He started when? June 22. He hopes. When did he start? Was that in January? Was it the first of the year? Was it right about the time that the trucker protest, the protests in Ottawa happened? I can't remember when it was he started. But the point is, this guy is Terry Fox in it, right? But he's actually covering the ground, right? Yeah, I hope too. I hope he walks in. I hope he walks in by himself, and I hope that they're silent. February 20th. Yep. Walking to the tomb of the unknown soldier. So I'm picturing absolute silence when he walks in. Very sober men that's waiting around or at the tomb of the unknown soldier. I'm getting chills just thinking about it. How big of an event is this going to be? Because in my eyes, this is absolutely huge that one man has taken upon himself to walk from, because he was up north, I believe, and he started this walk, and he's just been walking. Things have been going on, coming and going and everything like that, and this guy's just walking, doing his thing. I mean, obviously stopping, but, put on the miles, and, you can tell, like, he's wearing thin, but he's still going. Pictures I've seen, still going strong. He's stopped in, and, obviously guys are meeting him at different places and probably, letting them sleep over or giving them some, things to help them continue on, some nutrition, some drinks, some whatever, some bonding time, some fellowship, right? Some camaraderie, encouragement. And this guy is going to the tomb of the unknown soldier. And when he gets there, this should be a national event when this man walks in there. And it should be absolute silence. And what happens at that point? How long will the silence be? I hope they don't say nothing for a couple hours. Is there going to be a speech? What will there be? But more importantly, what will be the reaction of the mainstream? Will they cover it? Will they talk about it? Right? What will be the actions taken by the government? What will be their perception on what's going on? This James Topp is a dog whistle that once he enters Ottawa, that these white supremacists plan on overthrowing the government with a bloody, violent revolution. We can't allow James Topp to make it to Ottawa. Right? Is that how they're going to react to it? This could be an event like a Yugoslavia event. Will Justin Trudeau go out and meet James Topp when he enters? Well, he didn't come out and talk to any of the trucker protest people. He never came out and showed his face there. But what will he do when the Topp arrives? I have a feeling, and it's June 22nd. So if he lands there, his boys are all there, the vets are all there, people from all over are there, and they start, camping again. What's going to be the response? First time hearing of this James Topp. Interesting. Yeah, it's one of those things where I've known about it, but again, everything keeps going on, and this guy, he's just walking step for step, step for step, step for step. This could be a Yugoslav. What's Justin Trudeau going to say? Congratulations. We all respect everything that you've done for this country. And if you wish, we have a table set up. If you would like to get vaccinated with your first, second, or third booster. We cannot allow James Topp to enter Ottawa without the proper safety gear. I will not meet him without a mask. James Topp could single-handedly bring down the Canadian government with a few minutes of live action video recording his entry, the subsequent response of his supporters when he arrives, and the reaction to what the authorities have to it, and what Trudeau responds with. I think the potential is very crazy. And meanwhile that's going on in the States, there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of stuff. People are getting really tired of the lies and the bullshit, and the gas and the cost of living and the prices of food and everything just going up every day. Just being able to get by, not able to, go for a drive, not able to, do your vacationing. Summer's coming up. You're not going to be have any money to go vacationing on to go on your trips. Right? People have gotten their jabs and now are having buyer's remorse. Didn't want it, got it, thought it would get them out of it, didn't, made it worse. Still have to follow all the same rules, still get sick with COVID, still lingering on, right? But then again, this is my first time really on the internet this week. Spent with good folk here. Good to have you here, Shabugla. So, all this abortion stuff that's going on, this whole thing, there's something going on in the States right now. I'm going to talk about Alex Jones here. Alex Jones putting out this impeaching Joe Biden for not any of the COVID stuff, not any of the Ukraine stuff, but solely on the fact that he's shutting down the country. And now that they're in this mess, that you can see that the results of his mismanagement have brought us this level, right? Now, it's not all Joe Biden, obviously. He's just a puppet. He's just their fall guy. He's just their walking, talking corpse, right, that they prop up in order to, be their object of hatred so that they can all, squirm away without getting, too much backlash. But the fact is that everybody's onto them. Everybody hates them. They can only expand their voter base by adding letters to the alphabet, right? Adding new sexualities and genders, right? They're basically, as long as they make a new category, they're just going to continue to grow their base, right? It's people's desire to just go back to a regular life is really starting to sink in, right? Because before, people were being affected by one thing or maybe a couple things, but not everybody. And now more people are being affected by all these policies, whether it be the energy policies, climate stuff, COVID stuff, the crime stuff, like the absolute breakdown of law and order and civilized society, the complete out the window of a high trust society, right? Not knowing who your neighbors are or who really anybody in your community is, because they're all from different countries that have been brought in here because they convinced everybody that they needed to move away a long time ago. All the jobs left, and now that everybody is retiring and having health problems, they're just going to bring in a bunch of people from different countries to replace them, because it's the only way that we're going to survive, right? They've been saying that, right? It's the only way. It's the only way our country's going to survive if we bring in these immigrants, right? These people are insane, and what they're doing is not sustainable. It will not last, and people are getting sick of it. I talk to more people, and I think they kind of know where I stand on things, and so they have kind of conversations with me, and they say stuff to me where it's kind of like they had to really step out in order to say what they said, right? And I'm just like, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then once I know that it's like, okay, they do want to talk about it, then, you know, you engage in the conversation, right? We're just cogs to our government, to be honest. Yes, that's right. And that's the thing. All the cogs they all serve their own purpose. They're covered with teeth, and they all serve their purpose, right? And divide and conquer. It's the greatest strategy known to men. And the more divisions and micro divisions that you can, and subsections of divisions that you can have, the easier it is, because there's no consensus. There's no normal, right? What's a family, right? What's morality? What's right? What's wrong, right? What's a man? What's a woman, right? They're literally trying to overturn nature, right? How can you do that? Because they have such a hatred towards God? Or is it because they have such a hatred towards God's people? Because they know they can't actually affect God, right? But they can hurt his creation. They can hurt his people. And that's truly when it comes down to it, right? Satan knows that he's going to hell, right? And if he would have realized it, that by having the King of Glory, Jesus Christ, crucified, that literally sealed his own fate, crushed his skull. Golgotha, the hill of the skull, the cross jammed down through the hill of the skull. And because of that, right, he would have never have done it if he would have realized that it was him defeating himself, right? He would have never have done it. But these people, they are believing a deceiver, so they think that what they're doing is going to overturn what God's word says. They think that they can rewrite God's word. They think that they can just change it, you know? Whether they don't believe it, or they want to manipulate it, or they hate God, or they hate you, whatever it is, they're working in league with Satan, not necessarily knowing, but because of them turning away from God in the first place, God has turned them over to a reprobate mind, and so he has work for them to do too, and it is to their own destruction. Now, I seen Sin City captive. Hey Peter, right on about reality as usual. Can't deny the complete S categories. Good to see you, Sin City captive. Thanks for coming out tonight. I seen someone else, that just popped in. Where's the hidden hand? They think Elon Musk is going to save them. Yes, they do, right? Elon Musk, and now he's putting his whole Twitter thing on hold. Elon Musk, one of his little pet projects, they help make a certain part for what goes into these injections. He's bringing out the electric vehicle. He's bringing out the brain chip. He wants humanity to go forward. He doesn't want to keep humanity down. He doesn't want to hold technology and everything from humanity, but he wants everybody to have the opportunity. Jumping sounds awfully Christ-like. Sounds awfully Christ-like, doesn't it? hey, listen, Bill Gates wants to track and chip you and kill you, but I want to track and chip you and have you live, right? Elon is such a Jesuit puppet. Yes, the Jesuite, the a los sombreros. Who was the Jesuit commander? The original Spanish guy, Loyola, Ignatius Loyola. Right? You know, it's 12:19. I got to get up early because I was outside all day, getting the garden ready. Made some bread today as well. I get up. I woke up at 4:30 this morning. I was like, I have a good sleep. I'm getting up, right? Got up. Did a little bit of reading, a little bit of looking around. Made some bread this morning. Daughter came down, helped me out. We filmed it. I'm going to put a video out on that. Peter Branscom's Cooking Network. Branscom House Productions Cooking Edition. Made some brown bread, made some rolls, outside all day, working in the garden, went to the co-op, bought strawberries, gotta put strawberries in, got potatoes, gotta go in tomorrow, hopefully everything else, except for any of the plants, because I gotta get past that frost day, so gotta continue on keeping some of that stuff that I've already got grown up and started. It can't go in the ground yet because I just don't trust it, don't want to lose it to the frost. That sucks. It sucks putting in stuff ahead of time all early, and then it's like, bang, you hit with frost and it all dies. Now, usually if you get hit with frost at the first of the year, stuff will come back. It'll look like it maybe kills it off, but if it's got good enough soil and good enough water and whatnot in conjunction with sun, then sometimes the stuff will come back. Even stuff here that I planted inside, it came up too early and went really spindly and fell over a lot of the different stuff. And because I just had it in the window in a kind of hothouse thing there, but it was too cold to really take it outside. And so for being in there, everything like popped up, but too quickly. And I should have took the cover off a little more frequently to slow down their jump. But anyway, some of those though, after dying and falling over and everything like that, I just kind of kept on watering the trays, and now some other stuff is same stuff, but like new growth is popping up in some places. I would say about 50, no, we'll say about 70% of the stuff that I planted inside is not going to make it, but that's fine. I got lots of stuff that's going in anyways. So I got a big day tomorrow doing that. Church in the morning, take the girls, the wife, go to church. They'll go to Sunday school, but I'll go to church after that. So chicken tenders were classic. Fiddleheads, of course. The chicken tenders Sin City Captive that I made were friggin' awesome. They were tasty, man. Like, they were really good. I've never really succeeded at making a good chicken batter and cooking it right, but these ones that I made, this recipe, it was friggin' dope. Fiddleheads. We went and picked fiddleheads this morning. Got that bowl that I had there in that pitcher, and then I said to the girls, I said, we got to come back out here tonight because there's ones here that aren't quite popped up. They'll probably popped up tonight, so we'll probably get a little bit out of them tonight too. Went back out later on, picked more later on here tonight than I did this morning. It's freaking crazy. Those things, like, it's crazy like how these things jump. It would be fun to have live action, camera like setup, and the whatever is the slow, the thing where it shows at the time lapse, and see these things grow. Because like seriously, you can be looking at a plant and you're like, oh, that's looking pretty good, and then you go and you leave, and then like come back and like literally a half hour later, like that grew. That grew. They like as soon as the sun hits them, or as soon as the sun goes down, they get a little bit of that moisture in the night, and then the sun hits them in the morning. It's like, boom, they come up with the sun. They grow a little bit more. It's amazing how the process happens and how quickly it actually happens, right? Like some stuff, I swear, if you just stood there and watched it, you could see it grow. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us this evening. Thank you for coming out, Segway. Thank you, Kale Chanel, for coming out. What is your thoughts on the gematria and how it influences contrived events that are portrayed as happening naturally and to so many people, not from a hidden hand? I think that gematria is used by a lot of high people in the occult and practitioners of the occult and whatnot. But I think a lot of what you see in gematria in our, YouTube kind of, in that whole realm there with people making videos about it and showing gematria calculators and stuff like that stuff, I don't have any time or any patience to look at these different gematria ones, because it just seems like basically anything can end up coming out as being a particular number that they want. And I know that gematria and numbers and stuff like that, and symbols, sigils and everything like that, they're all used heavily. But there's a lot of people out there, I think, that specifically are pushing the whole gematria and the calculators and stuff like that because they are misinformationists or misinformed or whatever. Wisdom revealed to him by the scriptures. Yeah, I can't say that I'm a big scholar and that I've read a lot of books, because I've read, but I'm not gonna sit here and say that I've read thousands of books. I'm not gonna show you a bookcase with all the books that I've read. I'm not gonna even refer to many books, but I'll reference books and I'll reference pieces of work. Mostly I reference a lot of culture and stuff like that, right? But if you know history, you know the Bible, you know what's going on currently, the world is, pretty, it's a pretty safe bet to know that people throughout history are very similar to how we are now. There's different, we are different in many instances because, times change and, whatever is the trend in the culture of the time, that dictates a lot. But the human nature and the problems that mankind face, they've never changed. We've just added more to it today because of all of this degenerate bullshit, alphabet soup, classification of sexual gender preferences and forms of mental psychosis and retardation, right? Like, human nature has always been the same. People want stuff they don't have. They want more stuff, even if they have it. They want someone else's stuff, right? They'll lie, they'll cheat. Some people are good-natured, some people are bad-natured, some people are men of war, some people are truthful, some people are dishonest, right? Like, some people covet, some people work hard, some people don't, certain people, always hang around positions of government and are control freaks, right? Like, all this stuff stays the same throughout history. That's why you can pick up the Bible and you can read it, and on every page, you can basically put yourself there, right? Because you're in there. you're in the Bible, not literally. It's not literally about you, but a mistake you've made, or a way that you've thought, or a false dichotomy that you believed, it's mentioned in there somewheres, and it'll fit with you. Just like when you know something is true, and then you go and you read the Bible and it's confirmed in the Bible, it's like, how did that happen? That without knowing the Bible, I knew the truth, and then I went to the scriptures and it confirmed it for me, right? It's pretty incredible, you know. Corey Martin, how's it going, buddy? Do you think we are in the 70th week of Daniel? My wife had a dream February 13th that we were a few weeks away from the 70th week. They've been calling the 70th week, and like give or take minus plus a year of the 70th week for the last couple years. And it's fact that these Jewish scholars, they all are saying that we're in this 70th week. A lot of these Christian scholars, Zionist individuals, pastors and whatnot, they're all very much believing that we're in Daniel's 70th week. I would dare say that we are probably close to Daniel's 70th week, because it's kind of like to bring in the Noahides, to bring in the New Age, to bring in the Messiah and everything like that, right? It's all kind of rolling in around the same time, right? It's all falling into place. There's some dots and loose ends that we can't quite know yet, that are still kind of mysteries, that are still shrouded. We don't know how this is going to connect with that, but we can see the writing on the wall, right? And I think it's more important to see the deception on the wall, because that's ultimately what is going on. An ultimate deception to deceive the world. If they can take down the old order, right? Take down all of the, the pedophilia, the degeneracy, all the stuff that is overtly satanic, and everybody that has any type of sense and just common morality about them, right? Anybody that claims to be a child of God understands that this stuff is absolutely evil and God hates it. But you don't have to be a Christian or believer in God to not be for these agendas that are being pushed. You don't have to be a Christian or to be against this stuff. You have God's law, right, written on your conscience, so that when you see these things, you understand them, and then you confirm them by seeing them in God's word, right? So, that being said, there are more people that are going to be for traditional morality than this self-destructive, narcissistic, nihilistic, perditionist way that we're heading. Okay? And I don't see that as being the end times kingdom. I see the Antichrist kingdom being the opposite of what's being pushed now. I see the opposite of what's being pushed now, and that is the brotherhood of light, the whole Christ consciousness, humanity, kumbaya, destroying the old, right? Because that's the plan of the Illuminati, to destroy everything of the former to bring about the new, right? The phoenix dies, and then it burns out, and then from its ashes is reborn. So it's not a different creature, right? It's not a different creature, is it? It's the same. It's the phoenix, just reborn, right? Okay. But The 70th week, Corey Martin, is a very interesting subject in my opinion, and there's definitely a lot of legitimacy to that, if anything else, because these people are pushing it and they have an agenda for why they're pushing it and why we are to believe that we're in the 70th week, right? Because they also believe that, again, the Gog and Magog war are going to happen anytime, right? And not that they happen after Jesus Christ rules and reigns for 1,000 years. So I'm going to read through some of these, and then I got to get going. I need to read the word more. I get so distracted by current events crap. We all do that, Kale. That's for sure. I don't read it near as much as I should. I just have enough of it in my head that I can remember it, but I always got to go back and refresh. And when I don't read it, it shows. Even when I do read it, I fall short. In Darkness. Thank you for everything, Peter, and everyone. Thank you, In Darkness, for coming out. Your words are always kind, and thank you for being a brother in Christ. Segway 84, exactly at Kale Schnell. Kale Schnell, haha, yeah, it seems all over the place at times. Yeah, I know, I'm all over the place at times. You might not have been referring to me, but I'm also all over the place at times. I'm always linking it back to a common thread, but if you're not somewhat versed in all the things, it can seem like I'm jumping all over the place. Professor Branscombe. It's amazing, man. So, nothing new under the sun. No, there isn't. There's nothing new under the sun. Okay, everybody's writing here. Yeah, Peter. We had a falling out with a church recently that used Calvinism to defend there will be no great falling away. Once saved, always saved. Calvinism. Calvinism is a lot like Catholicism, really, when it comes down to it. Calvinism is a lot like Methodism as well. Even though they would say that they're exact opposite, they all have the same blueprint for how they set themselves up, and they just use different terms, but they end up doing the same thing. Like, for instance, Methodists, they would say, they use the term sanctified. You got to be sanctified, right? And if you're a new Christian, then you're not fully sanctified. So that means the process of sanctification, that you're still in sins, and so that you need to, find a veteran sanctified person in the church, right? Basically an elder, okay? And that when we tell you that this person is sanctified, that means that you have to listen to them. And that if you guys disagree, then you have to listen to the sanctified person, because you're not as sanctified as they are, right? And in Calvinism, you would have the elders and different ones there, and it would be like, well, and what's it called? It's not anybody can get saved at any point in time. It's basically God knows who's going to be saved, and you're either saved or you're not saved, and we determine who is saved based on their attitude and how much we can basically conscript them to our way of thinking, right? If you are a new person in the faith, then you need to seek after an elder. An elder is more advanced than you. Their faith and their salvation is determined already, and they can never lose their salvation. But you, if you disagree with them, well, then that means you're disagreeing with an elder. That means that your salvation can be called into question. Okay? So you have to listen to the elder. And all the different church groups, the different organizations and whatnot, they all have a similar blueprint. Okay. Segue, God bless all, and good night. Yes, God bless all. Have a good night, Segue. Good to see you, buddy. Vault Dweller, good to see you. Calvinist doctrine is really influenced by Augustine, who is influenced by Gnostic. Predeterminism. Yep. Gnostic. Right? Yeah, no, that's true, right? And that's the thing. It always ends up going back to this gnosis. There's always this hidden gnosis that you have to be part of a certain in group, right? That they have to accept you into before you can understand the knowledge, right? And receive the truth of it all. Okay. Thank you, everybody. I've memorized a good portion of the Gospels. Helps with evangelizing. Yeah. If you know the word, right? Some people, it's like, oh, you have to know the chapter and you have to know the verse. If you know God's word and what it says, then when you're speaking it, people will hear the power in it and understand it. That sounds just like the Bible. Or like I heard that exactly from the Bible over in this section, but he wasn't referring to 2 Peter, 2:11. He just was saying it, right? But yet it was there, right? Because God's word will not return void. And if you know his word, then you can use it, wield it as a sword at any point in time, because that's what it's for, right? Thank you all for coming out tonight. God bless. Thanks everybody for watching. Not a huge crew, but a good crew. And that's what matters. Hey, 14 watching, 15 thumbs up. I mean, hey, as far as the ratio goes, can't ask for much better than that. So thank you everybody for coming out tonight. Early morning coming up. Got some planting to do. Gonna get the garden in as much as I can. And I'll try to see you guys here sooner than later. Videos, I don't know how much videos I'm going to be doing, because videos I really got to make. I really got to have something in my head, and usually it's got to be while I'm driving. That's when I have the time to do it, and I just haven't really been feeling making the videos lately. I kind of like rather almost get up here and do the live stream. I have a little more fun with that. Richard America always popping in right at these different times, right? Like Richard America is like that little video meme there from Deliverance when what's his name there? He's an older gentleman now, but anyways, he looks up and he's like, that's what Richard America always does. He always comes in the room, he's like, good to see you, buddy. Good to see you, Shmugala, Gail Schnell, Corey Martin, thanks for coming out. Vault Dweller, good to see you, buddy. Lee, seen you in here earlier, good to have you, dear. None of the other ladies were here tonight. None of the other ladies. Sin City Captive, good to see you, buds. And whoever else in darkness, good to have you, brother. Whoever else I missed, Shabugala, like I said, you. Thank you all for coming out. We will be talking shortly in the near future. Gary Clothier, sorry, buddy. Thanks for coming out tonight, man, and watching. Thanks for coming out, Gary. It's good to have you. Good to have everybody. Share the video if you want. Stream if you want. I don't know. If I said anything important you want to clip it, you can clip it. If not, don't. And we'll see you next time. Take care, guys. Peace out. Peace. Peace.